May 31st, I'm going to bring you an update on the 7th day of Miles Guo's trial, which we call and refer it as the trial of the century. And today, actually, these couple of days, I think a lot of Americans are showing their sentiment, showing their emotions, because I've browsing through the social media, and I saw a lot of people speaking and talking and discussing about what's happening to President Trump's legal case. And I understand there's a lot of frustrations out there. There's a lot outpouring angry around there. But I think it reminds me that at the early beginning of the whistleblower movement, where Miles Guo was started being sued in the courts in the United States by what we call the CCP proxies, or even CCP registered spy. At that time, we also gone through the same emotions, which is quite angry and feeling the unfairness. But right now, from what we observed from the court at the Southern District of New York in the Miles Guo's fraud case, we have a great confidence. And this is exactly what we want to try to convey, even though the fight is difficult, but we're seeing the hope and the light shining through, and this is why we're here to bring you the update of this progress on the Miles Guo's trial. So let's welcome my guest on the show today, and his name is Jackson. Hi, Jackson.
Hey, what's going on, Ava?
I'm great.
I see
How
you
are
made
you
it back
doing?
to the office.
Yes, I
I'm doing
did.
great.
I made it back to the office. Yeah, I know you just came out, and the trial usually ends on 2:45 every day. Did today ends on time?
Yes, we did end on time, but unfortunately the jurors took a couple of extra minutes to leave the building, so we had to wait in the courtroom for a little extra longer, but it worked out.
Okay, that's great.
Everything
So
worked out.
before I want you to give us a kind of a summary about what the day 7 looks like, I wanted to first ask you, because I know you actually came all the way from the west coast of the United States to be participating in this trial. So why you wanted to do that?
Well, hey, like you said, this is the trial of the century, and I wouldn't miss it for anything. This is, if there's ever a moment for anyone to step up to get involved, this is the moment.
Okay, so as a member followers, you want to show support to Miles Guo, right? And great, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, we have a limited time, so tell us what happened, because we know yesterday we finished, the judge adjourned the day with the 6 witnesses, and it wasn't finished yesterday. So tell us a little bit more about this witness. What came across? What kind of information came across from the witness 6 from the government side?
I mean, how about this? I made some notes for some highlights of the day. The first highlight of the day, of course, is Mr. Miles Guo. He walked in with a steel light blue suit and sharp as ever, eye contact and everything else. But I understand we're on a time crunch, so talking about the 6 guests, the 6 witness. So we opened the day with some clarification following up from the day prior regarding the witness. Very procedural, very orderly from the judge and everybody else. Let me take a look. Yeah, we dug into, again, the Hayman Capital, the funds, let me take a look. I mean, let me take a look. Speak on whether...
While you're looking for your notes, I just wanted to let audiences know. So the 6th witness that the government called is a witness coming from an organization called Hayman Capital Management. And they are here. I think one of the witness is the managing director of the investors relations from this capital management, and she's here to testify some of the transactions and investment coming from Saraka Media Company, which is a parent company of the GTV Media. So go ahead, Jackson.
Yes. Thank you, Ava. I mean, we kicked things off by clarifying actually a lot of communications between Hayman Capital and William J. regarding the investments that were made. So that's where we started off with, just with a bunch of communications back and forth with emails, the text messages, and things of that nature, just for some clarification. Yep.
Okay, so I understand that the sixth witness. So if for people that missed the daily update, I can tell you, for the last seven trial, I mean, exclude the first 2 days, which is jury selection. From the official first day, which is the third day of the trial, that the government has called FBI witnesses from the FBI and also a managing director from Lamborghini in United States. It's a car dealership who's selling the luxury cars. So that's a day. That's a first trial day 3, actually, the 2 witnesses, and then the subsequent 2 witnesses are actually former. They claimed that they are the former fellow fighters of this whistleblower movement. So they testified against some of the things they know against Miles Guo and this movement, and also the fifth and the sixth witnesses. The 6 witnesses is going to testify particularly on the indictment of the 12th, because altogether there's a 12 charges on Miles Guo's indictment, right, Jackson? So do you know what's the last indictment item? What's the last charge on Miles Guo's fraud case? Do you recall?
If I recall, it is the investment regarding the Heyman Capital's investment.
So basically, close. So the 12 charges to the Miles Guo and RICO charges and this group is the $100 million money that moved away from the GTV's account. So that's the charge against Miles Guo. So this is why today's the 6 witnesses is actually really heavy weighted in terms of the government's way of presenting their evidence to support this charge in the indictment. Is there anything you wanted to let people know in terms of the 6 witnesses, what she offered? What are the information that came through, the directed questions and cross questions from our side of the councils that you think the audience should know?
Yes, I mean, the 6th witness, actually we had 2 witnesses today. So the 6th witness is actually the lady, Mrs. Steele from Heyman Capital, and the 7th witness is a FBI forensic accountant that went over the transactions between the different banks.
So Jackson, we're jumping. FBI forensic accountant is the 7th witness. So you wanted to move on to the 7th witness right now? Okay, take away.
Okay, yeah, I mean, well, with the 7th witness, yeah, we went over all of the different transfers, the bank transfers, in regards to the different bank accounts from Soraka, for example, between Chase, the internal transfers within Chase, bank to bank, and so we kicked things off. We, the prosecutors went over the deck slides of showcasing the dollar transfers from one account to the other. And then when we came back in with the cross, we essentially filled in the full picture, because the prosecutors wasn't really telling the full story. But which will definitely continue tomorrow with more questions. It's very interesting. Today's a super technical day of a lot of financing, and but yeah, so that's pretty much the 7th witness.
You mentioned today is a tactical day. So what part of the tactical aspects you find it particularly challenging as a spectator listening to those line of the questions?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what's actually challenging is listening to the prosecutors. Number one, you don't really get the full picture, because the account that was showed, the transfers were in April and May of 2020, the year 2020. But it does not show all the activities. For example, the activities prior to April 2020 or after, May or June of 2020, to tell the full picture of what's really going on with some of these accounts, and what were some of the main reasons as to why some of these transfers were made.
Okay, so do you recall that? Because I'm going back to the 6th witness, because I think there's a lot of great information through either the government directed question or the cross, that a lot of information about this movement actually came out. So started in the morning at very sharp on time, 9:30. Ryan Finkel, which is the lead prosecutor from the government, South District, New York, started his questioning of witness 6, which, as you said, Miss Steele. So, and he basically mentioned and asked about a fund right? So it is the fund. It's called Hong Kong Opportunity Fund, Class B, that they alleged that Saraka had invested on. Okay, so when they're going through this fund presentation deck, because there is a presentation deck, right? According to the witness that she personally emailed to William Jie, which is the other co-conspirators in this fraud case, was charged against by the government along with Miles Guo. So do you remember from the deck, what are some information that actually left you a great impression, especially about what the CCP has done to Hong Kong people and what they've done in Hong Kong and how they're cracking down on the democracy in Hong Kong? Is there anything you retain regarding that kind of that answer that Mr.
Yes, in terms of
go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Ava. In terms of that, if you take a look at the account, the original investment, the fund was put together by Heyman Capital, okay, and they had, I want to be very careful with my language here, but they created the deck essentially pitching to their investors as to why this is actually a great opportunity for them to invest in. And it has said that when the CCP, when they crack down on their own people, the economy, this is actually when the Hong Kong dollar will take a hit, right? So essentially the fund is to short the Hong Kong dollar. And I would definitely have to dig in through my notes a little bit more, but that's something that definitely stood out, is that they were very confident that this fund was going to be, was going to pay off, because why else would they, would they offer it to these high-level sophisticated investors, especially we're talking about millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Do you recall a picture of Xi Jinping and
yes.
Okay, so could you describe to the audience what you've seen on the PPT that they showed us and throughout this the questioning of the witnesses 6?
Yeah, so Xi Jinping, the picture of the Xi Jinping on the slide deck was essentially him blowing away the leaves of the Hong Kong, how do you say, it's very symbolic as to what he's doing to the Hong Kong dollar. He's essentially devaluing the dollar via, some of his political actions.
Okay. So maybe let me get to that. So through the 6 witnesses' testimony, our defense lawyer asked some of the package, and the package is a marketing material that this witness had put together, and she had personally emailed out to all the interested potential parties that wanted to invest in this Hong Kong Opportunity Fund. Just as Jackson said, the purpose is to short Hong Kong dollar. So they're betting that the Hong Kong dollar, because Hong Kong dollar is pegged to United States. So they actually have a range, the band, which the Hong Kong Monetary Authority is controlling. They use their US dollar foreign exchange reserve to basically maintaining the Hong Kong dollar exchange rate versus US dollars in a certain band. So then Heyman Capital Management, it created a financial product, and this product would allow the prospective investors to gain quite a bit if the Hong Kong dollar is actually devalued. Okay, so they're betting to short the Hong Kong dollar. So that's how they actually selling it. How they selling it to the potential investors is they made a beautiful presentations which they sent to all those investors. And William Ye is one of many interested investors that wanted to look into this this financial product. So so during the cross exam, our lawyer has basically caught up on the presentation and reviewing some of the key characteristics of this product. And through that line of questioning, one information came out is the CCP, because I actually recorded a slide that the CCP has basically cracking down on Hong Kong. Okay, and they showed a chart about how the Hong Kong dollar, the history of Hong Kong dollar devaluation from 1979 all the way to 1983. And one of the questions that the cross, did you remember now? Do you want to share with our audience? Because I saw you nodding. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, between the years of 1979 to 1983, the Hong Kong dollar actually devalued up to 47%. And that was during the time of when the CCP crackdown on Hong Kong, when they had the economic, how do you say, the political turmoil that they were going through between those years. So that was one of the examples that Heyman Capital was pitching as a part of their deck to their investors to say, hey, look, when the political landscape was a little shaky between the years of 1979 to 1983, guess what happened to the Hong Kong dollar? And this is their speculation as to saying, hey, you know what, this is also something that we are predicting or assuming that is happening again today or back in during the year 2020 to as an example to show people that this is how do you say a great opportunity for people to invest in.
I guess that's hence the name. It's called Hong Kong Opportunity Fund. But one of the specific question that was asked is what happened in 1983? Okay, so our defense lawyer asked the witness, she said, do you know why the devaluation of the Hong Kong dollar happened? Because there were charts, right? The charts is very, very telling. You see the devaluation is quite sharp U curve, right? Not a U, but it's a slope, quite a steep slope. So the lady still spent a few seconds to recollect her thoughts, and she said maybe this is to do with the public announcement of the Hong Kong, the joint declaration. She didn't use exactly the words. She just say, it was used under, Hong Kong used to under the governance of the UK government, but somehow in early 1980, that's what she said. In early 1980, they announced that the Hong Kong is going to return to the Chinese Communist Party in 1997. Okay, so that public announcement is basically the trigger to what you just described, a political turmoil. So the specs, the confidence, the projected confidence in terms of the Chinese Communist Party being a good governor of the region is not there. That is why the market reacted to that kind of a political, I would say, updates at that time. Okay, so that was a particular one-page slide deck included in the marketing material that Ms. Steele created back then. Okay, in 2020, when Heyman was trying to marketing those information to prospective investors. So is there? So throughout the sixth witness, there's another piece of critical information came up because the whole purpose for the government to bring Ms. Steele as an witness is they wanted to basically say Miles Guo did the investment, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So do you recall? Is there any piece of important information that was actually brought up this morning during these questioning of the witness number 6?
Correct. So yes, they tried to essentially connect Mr. Miles Guo to the investment, but in reality, because under the SEC, you have to adhere to the AML, the anti-money laundering, the rules that were set in place. And if any investor were to invest in this opportunity fund, they will have to undergo an AML, the anti-money laundering, like a background and a procedure. So with that being said, Mr. Miles Guo was never asked to do so because guess what? He never, how do you say, was involved personally when it came to this investment opportunity. And one more thing to add, Ava, actually, one thing that really stood out to me was interesting is that if you remember, there was a chart, right? They showed a lot of the past interviews, for example, Mr. Miles Guo had, and if we could take a look at the devaluation we were talking about earlier, that it showed that CCP, the Chinese government, they actually printed more money, meaning their M2, the money circulation, the money supply, the M2 outgrew the GDP. So it really goes to show you how much money that they have printed over all these decades and over all these years.
That's not from today. That's from yesterday, the charts you're talking about, right? Yeah, previous day.
Yeah, we went over today a little bit.
The same witness, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm just going to add to it because a lot of the witness's purpose is really to probably providing information that would support the government argument, which the Miles School is basically the person responsible for moving this $100,000 from Soraka Media, which is a parent company of GTV, to this Hong Kong Opportunity Fund. So basically, so basically he committed money laundering. This is what the government wants to establish through this witness. But I wanted to just give you a background information. That is why through this witness's cross-exam or direct questioning, the spectator, the people have to went through the whole morning of kind of education on finance, investment, hedge fund 101. There's a lot of terminologies that I find it particularly challenging because I'm a layman, right? I don't know all those terminologies that people use to describe some of the products. What's call option, what's short option, what is AML. So these are something that we are learning as we sit through this trial, particularly from yesterday to today. But today they spend a lot of time understanding the process for vetting, for verifying the qualified purchasers per se. Okay, so qualified purchasers, they have to hit some income requirement. If they're entities, they have to have a certain assets. And then if it's an entity, you have to know your client, kind of a questionnaire. So the investors, the potential investors, needs to provide something called subscription, something called prescription, questionnaire or something, presentation, subscription presentation to basically share their own information with Heyman Capital Management. And then after one of the procedures that in the know your clients is anti-money laundering. So they need to know if it's entity, if it's not an individual, but it's entity as an investor, they need to know this entity's ultimate beneficiary owner, which is short for UBO. So in this particular case, they went through all the procedures and they asked the witnesses who is basically the ultimate beneficiary owner of Soraka Media, and that information came out quite clear. It actually is Miles School's son, and his name is Milesson. Okay, so in today's questioning, we saw Mileson's picture, photo picture on the passport and information as an evidence provided. We went through quite a bit of information in terms of what other information that Heyman Capital Management had to solicit from Soraka as they have to meet the compliance requirements from SEC to asking all the invested entities to provide those informations. So that was quite interesting that when we all see that this has nothing to do with Miles School on paper, right? This is basically the UBO. The UBO is Miles School's son. But there is a question that is really interesting. I think it shed a lot of weight and gives the defense, helps the defendant to establish his credibility. Is the question when the government, both government and defense, actually asked the witness the question. They asked at the time, okay, when you handling the investment, the time around the timeline is in May, okay, May to June-ish. May to June is 2020. So at the time, who do you think is this really? Who do you think that is really making the decision? Some sort of like a question like this, not exactly the wording I use, but similar questions. And Mr. Steele, answered. I remember when the government asked the question, she answered is it might be Miles School's family offices that made the request to invest. And it was William Year that I personally emailed and communicated, but William Year is acting on behalf of the Guo's family office. So for those of you who do not know what's family office basically it's a fund, right? It's a trust fund. It's basically because we know that Miles School has a trust, right? Although he personally declared bankruptcy, but he's his family funds, which his family have hundreds peoples, right? It's a large family that they provide to him in terms of his daily necessities and, he's to continue his lifestyle. But anyway, in this line of questions, Mr. Steele said, it is Miles Guo's family office. So when it came to our cross-examination, Mr. Steele said, at the time, she believed it was Miles Guo that wanted to invest. Okay, so then our cross-questioning, our counsel then asked a further question. So counsel said, well, Mrs. Steele, seems like you have a very rigorous AML, anti-money laundering procedure, right? Because you go through the checklist, you went through the subscription agreement and presentation with the potential investors, and then you collecting all those personal information, including the passport, date of birth, social insurance number, everything, right? To make sure you comply. Right. So if you believed that it was Miles Guo, why did you not ask for Miles Guo providing all those information? If you think that somehow Miles Guo has something related to this, right? If the UBO is not Miles Guo's son, like why did you not ask for Miles Guo, all those things, right? And also one of the question, I think exactly the question is when everything was collected, when they provided some of the information you requested for, particularly the primary funds, because the primary, it says the primary of wealth. Yeah, one of the question items is where the wealth, the source of wealth. Sorry,
the source of wealth.
Yes, and then the answer is selling shares of subsidiaries, right? So according to Steele, she felt all the answer that she collected through the questionnaire to satisfy the AML compliance is sufficient. Okay, she confirmed, yes, it is sufficient from what they've supplied to me. And then Heyman Capital Management actually hired a third party who does all those check and verify and records for them. And this company is called SEI, right? So when cross counsel asked, does SEI has any information? Does they flag anything once they received all those information from Saraka Media? Nope. Nothing. They flagged everything is satisfactory. So this is why the defense say, so there is a gap, right? So the defense pointed out, well, you've gone through all of this. There's really any red flags. You checked it, everything is okay, and then you made a decision to basically accept this 100 million to invest, right? So on behalf of the Soraka Media and on behalf of the UBO, right, which is Miles Guo's son, Milesum. And she also, the 6 witnesses also testify, it is very usual, it's very usual for family offices to have other family members to become to be the UBO or the authority signature, or hire somebody else to be the signing signature. Particularly in this case is Yvette Wang, right? Yvette Wang is name came up again as the signing signature, and Willen Ye as well, right? So this is witness 6. So witness 7, is there anything, because I think you briefly mentioned the witness 7 is FBI forensic accountant. Yeah. So is there anything else through her testimony that left you a great impression of the day?
Of witness number 7?
Yeah, how did it end? Because I didn't listen to the ending. I had to leave earlier because I have to come back to the office. So is there anything at the end?
7. Yeah, witness 7 was great. We went over a lot of the transactions of the money inflow and outflows to the various different accounts. And we pretty much just, let me take a look at the very ending. So with that being said, the ending, here we go. The ending was really, the defense wanted to admit a document showing the evidence between the outflow of some of the funds, and guess what? The prosecutor objected, but in the end, it worked out. The judge allowed and agreed to allow the evidence to be submitted. So that's where we pretty much ended, which we'll go over tomorrow as to all the funds and the numbers, because there's so much to this story. It's just so interesting with all the story. It's absolutely amazing. It really is. And I want to add something really quick. Ava, when it comes to witness number 6, actually, Miss Steele from Heyman Capital, she actually testified in court. She said that Mr. Miles Guo never personally made an investment into Heyman Capital. Okay, and we have the actual transcripts that's going to be ready at nfscofficial.com when the time comes. So that's something very interesting. And then if you take a look at Heyman Capital in December of 2019, okay, they showed to us in court that they had roughly around $432 million of asset under management. And in 5 months' time, May 2020, they had less than $400 million. So they actually had a loss. And Mr. Miles Guo, or not Mr. Miles Guo, excuse me, when the investment went in, from Soraka, the 100 million, that 100 million is a huge chunk. Okay, it's a huge chunk of the capital. So anyways, the timeline was very tight. If you can remember, Ava, right? The timeline was very tight. So anyways, but yeah, tomorrow's gonna be very interesting. We're gonna dig in deeper with witness number 7 into some of the flows of the transfers and the dollar amounts. I just think it's gonna be, again, another very technical day on the upcoming Monday.
But the witness 7 is not finished, right? So she will be called back tomorrow, correct? Okay.
Correct.
Great. Awesome. So thank you so much, Jackson, for your reporting right from the courthouse. So I have another beautiful guest already came into the live broadcasting. So thank you so much, Jackson. I will talk to you later. Thank you. You take care.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you,
Bye.
Eva. Thank you.
So let's welcome beautiful Feather. She just arrived from all the way from the courthouse. So say hello to everyone.
Hi everyone, this is Feather. Yeah, thank you, Ella, for running around and arranging the show and then coordinated with us. I know it's a lot of effort, and you know you missed the last couple of 20 minutes of the so I actually have a lot of questions to ask you.
Okay. I don't know whether I can answer that or not, but let's discuss it.
Because ever since the witness number 6 was introduced since yesterday, it's related to, I believe, financial investments with Kyle Bass.
Yes. Mr. Bass.
Mr. Bass, and so she worked as a, let me see here,
Heyman Capital Management.
Yes, Heyman Capital Management. He was I believe it's the investor relation.
Yes.
In sort of management kind of.
Managing
position?
Director. I think her title is
right.
Managing Director of the Investors Relations.
Right. And so a lot of the questioning from the government team was to ask. To ask the details about this one specific investment they have had a deal with Miles with Miles' side. Is it
Soraka
Media Group? Yes. So it was very complex, and I wasn't sure I was understanding it properly. There was a lot of professional technical term, and as you can tell, she's been working in that field for many years. 18, 19,
close to 20 years.
Right. And it took how long? It took a day, like a whole day to have all the questioning and then cross-examination done. And to start it with witness number 7 at the end of today.
That's right. Yeah. So I think she provided a lot of information, and I think through her testimony, we actually saw quite a bit information from the CCP as well, right? So basically, she testified. She does the view why. Heyman came in, why she personally, actually, yesterday afternoon, she said why she personally does not like CCP is because she believed that CCP is, there's no religious freedom, and CCP is basically a dictatorship and authoritarian state with no freedom and also concentration camp, right? Yes. So she mentioned all her personal view towards this regime. And also today, she actually adds on quite a bit. Because today we had an opportunity to went through some of the PPT slide deck. Because as I was talking to Jackson, we talking about the pictures. Do you remember one of the picture in the slide deck actually shows a dragon?
Yes.
Can you describe to our audience what actually? I'm talking about the slide deck that Mr. Steele put together to market this particular funds for the prospective investors.
Right.
So one of the picture we viewed is a dragon with what?
Yes, a dragon that's had the dragon's mouth opening. A dragon is like gold with some red color, but mainly gold color. But then he has his mouth open, and there's a person in between the mouth and the teeth, inside the mouth, and holding an umbrella. Says yellow umbrella says democracy, and the person, I believe it's
Hong Kong.
Yes,
Exactly.
it's Hong Kong, and the dragon is clenching the person's umbrella, and the person trying to hold himself up with the umbrella just to under the umbrella of democracy. What's written.
That's correct.
Yes.
So basically, it's a multi-paged PPT, and there's some visual presentation. One picture I reviewed was Jackson. It was a Xi Jinping, right?
Yes.
And blowing to the flower, which is a symbol of the Hong Kong autonomous region. And then the second picture is the dragon. So basically, the whole presentation they probably mark it with a very strong message, because some of the PPT actually speaks to that, right? Do you remember one of the PPT, the title? Our cross defense actually asked Steele to read the title of one of the PPT, and the PPT said something about Beijing. Do you remember that?
Is it Beijing license office draws line to send in Hong Kong?
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit more what that particular slides actually said? Do you recall?
Not quite actually.
Okay.
I would remember if we start to talk about it.
Okay.
Talking to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember the defense lawyer asked Steele whether you remember what that what that talks about, right? That was actually talks about Hong Kong pro-democracy movement. In 2020, do you remember 2020?
That's right. Anti-extradition bill amendment protest.
That's correct. And that time, Beijing sent out a warning to the Hong Kong and say, if the Hong Kong, they call them riots, right? They call those protests, which understandable because they are the dictatorship, but they want to remain in control as a one-party state and tight a grip on Hong Kong. So they basically say, hey, these are the riots, okay? If you do not stop, we're going to retaliate, and you're going to see the political and economic basically price Hong Kong would pay. So this is basically a threat to Hong Kong, right? Not only a political but economic situation, right? And as part of the message, Mr. Steele also put all the things together, and one of the things is the charts about the Hong Kong dollar devaluation, right? And also they give the investors another example of Argentina. Do you recall the Argentina D-PAC?
Right, the pegs are meant to be broken. Argentina.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think the witness remember what that slide was meant for.
That's right.
Right.
She couldn't recall, but we went through some of the slides. She put it together 2 years ago, right? Not 2 years, 4 years ago, 2020, right? So, but through this PPT, a line of question, we actually, put together a timeline in terms of the CCP's cracking down on Hong Kong, right? Because we know what happened in 2019, and we also know what happened in 2020, right? The national security law was passed. And then, so this whole package, selling this Hong Kong Opportunity Fund, which is short on Hong Kong dollar, is basically saying that the CCP is gonna, the CCP's action might have some effects on how the Hong Kong dollar would go.
Yeah.
Right? So this is why they put all those information in the marketing package. Is there anything through the Witness 6 that you think that really jumped out for you as you're listening to the questioning today?
That jumped out for me.
Yeah, the Witness 6.
Well, I remember it was not allowed to ask her any technical questions regarding finances because she was not an expert in that field.
Yeah.
Right? She can give some knowledge to her understanding. So mostly it's to her understanding what she believes this is how it's
so what happened?
supposed to be.
Yeah, who contacted her?
Yes.
Who is interested in investing in this Hong Kong fund? Who emailed you? Okay, what your response? What did you ask for? Right? Some of those line of question back and forth.
Right.
Is there anything jumped out for you?
Yes, around the cross-examination, at the end of the re-cross-examination that's done by our lawyer Sid, was asking if she ever heard Kyle Bass or Mr. Bass criticize the SEC, and if there's anything negative that she heard from him about SEC.
Okay, so here we're gonna fit in the blanks for our audience, because you mentioned SEC, you mentioned Kyle Bass, who is the founder and the chief investment officer of Heyman Capital Management, right? So now I want to give audience a timeline because this is complicated. I just wanted to see, okay, we have enough time. So the Hong Kong Opportunity Fund, this financial product, okay, which is short on Hong Kong dollars, started actually in 2017. But somehow, throughout the way, they regrouped the products. In 2020, they roll out something in May, in 2020, something called Hong Kong Opportunity Fund, Class A share and Class B, right? Prodigious Fund. It's Class B fund. So then in May 26th, so during the cross and during the government questioning, they showed us a text message that was communicated from Mr. Bass to Mr. Steele, the sixth witness, right?
And I believe the text message was copy-paste from William G's.
That's right. So, and that date is important. It's May 26, 2020. So Kyle Bass sent a text message to witness 6, telling her and forwarding her a screen copy of a text message between William Jie and Kyle Bass. Okay, and William Jie said because of a short, tight timeline, these are the organizations that would actually investing in HHK fund. Okay, Hong Kong fund, and they listed 2 organizations. One is Saraka, the other one is Hamilton Investment Management Fund. Right. So then Kyle Bass forwarded the screenshots to Mr. Steele. Correct? So that's a May 26th. That's the date that officially on records that William Jie, okay, the person who managing Miles Guo's family office, you know, this is finance guy, William Jie, is managing Miles Guo's family office, expressing interest in actually purchasing, investing in this Hong Kong Opportunity Fund. That's May 26th, okay? And then the funds is closing at when? June 1st?
Yes,
okay.
Of 2020.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is why when William Yeo referring to the timeline, he said it was a very tight timeline. It's because from May 20, I think it was May 26, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was the text message. Yes.
Yeah. So May 26 to June 1st, there's only like a few days, right? So, and it sounds like there is also weekends in between those dates. So it's really tight. So, and so June 1st, the fund's closing. Okay, and then, but they did move the deadline for Saraka because Saraka did not have enough time. Yes. So Mr. Steele did mention on June 8th or 9th they closed, right? I believe that June or 9th that they closed, and we will use, you know, the final version that we have to look at the transcript. I could be wrong, remembering that wrongly. However, there's something happened. SEC can knock on the door, okay, and they phoned Heyman Capital Management on what day? July 13th, 2020, okay? So July 13th, they came in to call Kyle Bass, and basically, if you recall the questioning from our side of lawyer, the defense lawyer to Steele, asking her, was Kyle Bass upset about that phone call? Do you remember that?
Of criticizing, yes. It was upset about SEC's inquiries.
That's right.
And not happy, definitely not happy about SEC's investigation, and as well as the source of the fund.
Yeah.
Yes, and it definitely, well, she didn't recall heard any his expression on SEC, but definitely Kyle Bass was not happy about it.
So Mr. Bass was not happy about SEC, and also not happy because Mr. Steele did testify, say he's not happy because he felt like he was lied to in terms of the source of the fund. Do you recall that sentence that she said?
Yes.
Okay. So then what happened afterwards? Because the government side asked the Steele, what did you guys do? Right? After the call, what did you do? How did the Heyman Capital Management handle that?
Well, the thing is, she doesn't know if they ever made a phone call, ever had any contact with SEC afterwards. She doesn't know anything happened after that.
Yeah, because she didn't handle that, right?
Yeah.
But what the government showed us, and later on the cross defense side also showed up, is a letter from the lawyer for the Heyman Capital Management, and this lawyer's name is Kit Edelman. right? From, I think, from Hangs and Bohms LLP, right? So on July 15th, the legal counsel of Hayman Capital Management sent a letter to Soraka and asking for a lot of questions, right? Because the government's reviewed some of the questions. Do you remember some of the questions asked?
Yes, I just have to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I have so many booklets.
Yeah.
I think the question, although I can't find the specific question I recorded because there's too many notes here, but I remember this is something to do with, in terms of something about the funds, the source of funds, right? Where does this funds come from? If this is a private placement, could you provide further information? And those kind of questions. Okay, this is after fact that the SEC had talked to Hayman Capital Management, because once the question did come through as the cross is our defense lawyer wanted to know, hey, Mr. Steele, were you satisfied when you actually gone through the AML checklist with Soraka in the first place? She said yes. She said, yeah, the information they provided is sufficient. Yeah, nothing wrong. I have no red flags, nothing wrong.
Yes.
And then the second question is, because once she received all those information, like a passport, like a UB, like a questionnaire, everything is filled out, she sent it out to a third-party service that they contract, and that company is called SEI. Remember? And then our defense lawyer asked it again. Does SEI flag any questions, or do they think that information you provided regarding Soraka is enough, or is it good?
Yes, it's enough.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
good.
further
There's
information
exactly, because
yes.
she actually definitively said, yeah, everything they provide looks great. Nothing more. There's no question asked, right? But not until this SEC call that happened on July 13th, the 2 days after that, questions start coming from a lawyer. Okay, so this is very important for you to remember, because a lot of the audiences, if you have followed my show on Saturday, you would learn that the GTV actually was, after the private replacement was done in June 2020, the government SEC investigation immediately started in July, and they start seizing the bank accounts of GTV. Okay, so this is very important. So the SEC is also involved here. Although right now we haven't had any witnesses from the government side, from the SEC, right? Because today, Ms. Steele did say, yeah, when they talk about the refund, do you remember, she talks about refund? Because when they, so once the lawyer, July 15th, 2020, sent the letter to Soraka didn't, they say they did not, Mr. Steele say, she did not get any response. And then in August, I forgot which day was August, Mr. Bass sent an email, right, to William Jie and asking for some of the information, right, seeking resolution. And in that letter, basically he said about the government investigation, and they are now, have reasons to believe that the money may be tainted, and they might have to mandatory withdraw this. Because remember, Soraka and Hayman Capital Management had agreed to invest $100 million. The money has already received. Sometime in July, I can't remember, in June, already received. So they have obligation to invest on behalf of Soraka, right? But because of this SEC's investigation and inquiry, okay, triggered the lawyer's letter, and then later on triggered, possibly has something to do with it, I don't know, because it didn't come out through this questioning. The Ms. Bass sending that letter to William Jie and informing him that we have to do a mandatory withdrawal of your $700 million, which at that time still hold in cash, right? At that time, the $700 million was still in cash form in Cayman Capital Management's bank, but they have already invested $300 million, right? 300 million, they have 30 million. 30 million.
Yes.
It's my bad. Altogether is 100 million. So they have 70 million in cash, and then 30 million have already set up to invest over the next course of 15 months. Right? They didn't immediately invest the whole thing. They set up, and according to what their investment strategy is, they have a timeline of 15 months, right? So in that August email, they're sending to Jie and informing them, say we have to mandatorily return, basically withdraw your 70 million. Okay, and then we're seeking resolution, right, in terms of what we want to do with the 30 million, because the 30 million has already set up, in the funds to invest. So Mr. Steele testified that she did not receive any response. Correct?
She testified did not receive any response.
Okay.
And she doesn't know. She doesn't know if they have ever getting contact or getting in touch with the SEC with Mr. Baz afterwards. Well, another thing is that Miles Kwok, that's how she said, Miles Kwok, was never in any Heyman investment.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah.
She also testified that it was also very usual that as a family office, as a RACA, as a family office, they can have many family members that they put on board for one of the investments, or in a company. In the same company, they can use different family members' name to do the investments, which is very usual. But never have they. Well, as the AML was necessary to do with because of lack of involvement of Mr. Miles Guo, so they never done set that up, and no Kwok investments were ever mentioned. But then no Kwok investments were ever mentioned. Yeah. And everything. I remember it's the slides, I believe. It's also the prosecutor lawyer's choice, and it was not fair to call a Kwok investment just because they all named their all last name are Kwok, but then this is not just indicating it's Miles.
Yeah, it's Miles' son, right? Miles' son's last name also is Guo,
with the beneficial owner of this company.
Correct.
Yes.
And I remember one of the questions is actually talking about, is this prosecutor used the Kwok's investment, right? Do you remember that they were, so when you talk about this is Kwok's, do you think that this investment is Kwok's Kwok investment, or is something else? Is this your vocabulary, or is this prosecutor team use this? And then still, I believe that she tested, it was the prosecutor team that used this.
Yes, at the time. They call it Kwok investment.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So anything, we still have a few minutes left for the witness 7. Do we want to, we have 5 minutes left, so thank you for the reminder of the time. Do we have anything you wanted to share on the witness 7? Because witness 7 is a government witness, right?
Yes,
it's FBI
it's
forensic
it's
accountant.
It's a forensic accountant, yes.
Yeah,
she testified about some money transfer between accounts, some deposits, additions to the account, and testified about transactions and the dates, and to which account it made and under what reference.
And one of the things jumps out at me, because I didn't finish, but before I left, I heard that the government, sorry, not the government, the cross-examination, the defense counsel was asking her, did you analyze any bank account information prior to April? Remember that?
Prior to April?
Prior to April or after June? And her answer is no. So the impression that gave me through that series of questions from the defense counsel is she was asked and told and provided only this amount of bank statement by the prosecutor team, right?
Yeah.
And they're very specific.
Yes.
They're only from April to June 9th, 2020.
I think it's from, yes, that's right, April 1st to the
June 9th. Yeah,
yes,
and she particularly says June 9th. She only have April 1st to June 9th, 2020, and this many bank accounts. And she was told to provide some experts' experience to some spreadsheets or a slide deck that already been done.
Yeah.
So somebody else created the whole thing, and then just brought to her and say, hey, could you take a look? And she basically, the 5 version, there's this whole presentation gone through 5 versions. And she only
actually version 5, so there might be other versions.
Exactly, she got to see the version 5,
of it,
and then she provided some input and did some little edit, right?
She did some edits, for
she
the
added bank accounts or something. So very little touch from her.
Yes, and
basically
the knowledge, So the first meeting was 2 to 3 weeks ago with the government. So that's the knowledge she has throughout this 2-3 weeks on GTV or on the bank accounts as well as on Miles.
And a very important question is this particular witness and her prior employment is very interesting. Do you want to share with our audience?
Prior employment?
So prior to begin working for FBI, where was she?
I actually did not.
Okay, so
that.
This is really important because I think this is a kind of a potential. I'm not implying anything, but prior to start working for FBI, she worked for New York Attorney's Office.
Right.
Okay, so possibly some of the prosecutor actually have a relationship with her.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know when, because we didn't know when she was there, but she was actually in attorney office in New York. Like which office? I don't know, whether it's the Southern District of New York or Eastern District of New York, I don't know, but she definitely is trusted, right? That's probably why prosecutor team has basically approached her 3 and 2 weeks ago and say, hey, could you do a little bit touch on this 5th version of this PPT that we're about to use in this testimony?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And she also said she worked at RDL Forensic. Okay, so these are the 2 places she worked prior to joining FBI. Okay, so I think we just started this questioning of the witness 7, right?
Yeah, she was testified to identify some accounts, with the signature cards and all that, to testify, the money transaction in what date, to which account, and then after that, this amount of money go into the other account. Well, there's like 3 different accounts, but all belong to Soroka or Soroka Media Group.
Yeah.
But this PPT was provided by the prosecutors. And on this side, very interesting today, our defense team actually brought their own exhibit. They had a piece of draft drawing of the 3 accounts with very little details, and then but then it was the sticker says defense exhibit.
Okay.
And it was explaining the GTV private placement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're trying to provide their own version of the story. So we're out of time today, although we have still lots to talk about, but we will continue tomorrow and the day 8 of this trial of the century. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. So thank you very much, Feather.
Actually, tomorrow it's the weekend. So
tomorrow's the weekend? Okay, sorry.
Have a good weekend, and we'll talk. We'll keep.
So tomorrow I will be. Yeah, we will still be. So Feather will be on my show tomorrow at 12 noon, 2 hours. Whistleblowers with Ava Chen. So I see you here on LFA TV. Thank you very much.
See you tomorrow.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.